Gosh, Vazar be scared of a doctor that much. I mean, yes, the web plant has that effect on anyone. It scares them half to death.
Hello everyone, welcome back to mine and Luke's Third Doctor Era ranking. Now last time we did Season 7, if you haven't caught up with that video, I'll leave a link in the description below to that video and a little tab thing there so you can check it out what we thought of the first 4 stories in the Pertwee era. So this one is of course Season 8, very exciting. Obviously we've got the lovely Blu-ray release of it, so we'll be talking all things Terror of the Autons to the Daemons, and I guess this is the season where it cements itself as the unit family, what we all know and love and remember. So this is going to be very exciting. So we've got a new adversary in the form of the Master, a new companion, and the Third Doctor's got a new jacket. It's all going off in Season 8, so let's take a look at our tier list of Season 8 of Doctor Who.
So, Terror of the Autons, Pertwee's second season as the Doctor, introduces us to the beginning, I guess, of the mainstream unit family. We've got Joe, Captain Yates, and the introduction of the Master, the Moriarty, to the Doctor's home.
Everything's becoming a much more settled now, isn't it? Like they've got a permanent base. Well, it doesn't last too long, but it's certainly much more permanent than we had before, where they're very much moving about from establishment to establishment. And so, yeah, it's nice to have that. You've obviously got Yates introduced, like you say, and it's this. Yeah, it's the coming together of the family, isn't it, really? Things are starting to settle. Barry Letts and Terrence Dicks's vision is starting to come to the forefront because whereas before, even though Derek Sherman only produced Spearhead from Space, he had already commissioned and very much mapped out the entire 7th season. And so here, Barry Letts really gets to take hold. And again, it's another soft reboot, isn't it? It's another shift in tone a bit. Unit even has new costumes now. They're no longer the chocolate bars.
Yeah, they're more typical military costumes, what you'd expect a military to have, which I prefer personally.
Yeah, I do like that.
But yeah, we've got the I think the Autons are utilised a bit more within this. I think that it really exploits plastic more than Spearhead does.
You've got the daffodils, the doll. It's very much just the Master coming up with ingenious ways to kill people, and it's just a back and forth between him and the Doctor, really, isn't it? I mean, the Master even says it much at one point. He's not disappointed that he killed the Doctor. The bomb was just a greetings card.
Yeah, I was just going to say, but it's just their way of going, oh, this is where the fun and games begins, really. They like that challenge and have that sort of equal, intelligent equal to have that sort of riff off, really. And I think that sort of excites the Doctor, because the end of Terror of the Autons, he's kind of glad, and all that sort of thing. But he's like, oh, we can have a bit more fun about this, really. Yeah,
and obviously there's a scene when the Master comes in to kill the Doctor, and he's like, I have so few worthy opponents. When they're gone, I've always missed them. Just a wonderful moment like that. And I feel like one of the criticisms I've heard about this story is that the Master's plan almost seems to make no sense. Like, why does he keep going after the Doctor in these elaborate ways? That's half the point of it, though. That's just them having fun. I mean, controversial here, but Missy mentions at one point, I think it's in Masterful, actually, says, oh, that was just our way of flirting.
I mean, it's pretty obvious that they're just trying to go off and, tackle each other and try to... I just like that. It's very Tom and Jerry, isn't it, within this, between these two characters. And I like that sort of between it, and just the whole setting within this. I always forget that it's sort of set at a circus in a way. I think that's an interesting
quite a big part of it.
Yeah, it's always such a bizarre thing when you see sort of a circus thing, and I like that sort of shift in location within the story. And then you have the great stunt of like the policeman Auton going off the cliff.
Yeah,
that's a wonderful stunt, and obviously you have.
I mean, it went further than they expected, didn't it? It was actually an accident that he fell that far, but they kept it going, and he got up for the take.
It works. I mean, you have that infamous cliffhanger with the sort of police officer, which works well. The troll doll, great way of scaring kids. It's just... I
love how by the end of part 1, you already feel very established with these characters like Joe and Yates. It feels very family again, and very firmly set who they are.
Yeah, and I think that this story, I guess, sort of shows that more caring nature of the Third Doctor. I mean, he has caring moments with Liz, but I think that this is where we start to see that mother hen type quality to
Yeah.
the Third Doctor.
I think having more of like the military characters surrounding him now with Yates and Benton as regulars, it separates him and Joe more. Whereas before it was very much a trio of him, Liz, and the Brigadier.
Yeah, definitely so.
Yeah.
So it does feel like the Doctor and Joe are not against Unit, but it's them versus us in a way, with the way they want to do things.
Yeah, and I love as well, going back to the Doctor and the Master, how this story, more than many others, highlights the differences between these two characters. How you have this very irritable, angry one, always shouting, and he's the good guy, and then you have this charming, kind character, and he's the bad guy. And I think that contrast works very well between the two of them.
Yeah, I like that as well. As for a rating, I would say probably 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I'd agree. Okay, we're on. Okay, we're good. We're good.
No falling out this time.
No falling out this time. Mind of Evil. What do you make of this one then?
I love this one. It's like that return to the season 7 grit for a bit. And yeah, it's a very good story for Jo as well. Like, she spends a lot of time separate from the Doctor. And I mean, she stops a prison hostage situation by herself. That is a brilliant start for a new companion, really.
It's so courageous because she just throws herself right into the danger of the situation. Like, she doesn't care about her life. She's already besotted by the Doctor. I mean, granted, there's quite a time difference between Terror of the Autons and Mind of Evil, isn't there? So I guess there is natural growth between that bond there already, you know.
Yeah. And then there's those wonderful scenes where they're in the prison together, isn't there? In the cell, I mean. Yeah, just locked up. That's all very warm stuff. Again, the Muller hen. And yeah, as well, some brilliant direction in this one. So brilliant that the director wasn't allowed to come back because he spent a bit too much. I think it's the same director as Ambassadors, isn't it?
No.
Oh, it's not.
I think
same as Silurians, Timothy Coombe.
Yeah, I think so. But I think Timothy Combs only did one, I think, from memory.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe
I think he only did one story, Timothy Combs, because I think Michael Ferguson did.
Did
Ambassadors, and he did Claws of Axos as well.
Yeah. But Mind of Evil, definitely the director who did this wasn't allowed back afterwards because he spent a bit too much money. But yeah, like that brilliant scene where units storming the prison. I love all that. Benton even gets his own little arc in this story where he has to redeem himself in the eyes of the Brigadier after he fainted.
I think it utilizes Yates as well. Yates gets a lot to do. Benton goes undercover following what's the character's name? Is it Pin? What's her name?
Yeah, I know.
Try not to mispronounce it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's gonna annoy me now.
Is it Ping Li?
No, it's like Fu Peng is Chin Li.
Yeah, Chin Li. There we go. With Benton following Chin Li.
I think you're confusing her with the actress's name as well.
Yeah, that's what
that begins with a P. Yeah, but yeah, Chin Li. She's a great little character as well. And yeah, I love that whole peace conference side of things in the first half as well. Getting again that political thriller side of things like we got in Ambassadors of Death.
Yeah, with sort of tension rising, with like the missile and all that sort of stuff. Delgado is just absolute suave, badass with a cigar.
He's brilliant.
It's just great. The Keller machine being this sort of alien parasite, and the twist that Dr. Keller is the master.
I love that they turn the Keller machine on the master at one point.
I like that. I like the idea of the Keller machine using your fear to kill you, but you don't have any sort of control over it, and the Doctor's sort of scared of being burnt, isn't it?
Yeah, that's like a reference to Inferno, isn't it?
And then doesn't he see like the Silurians and the Daleks as well, or is that the Master?
War Machines and the Zarbi turn up to. There you go. But and also like how the Master Sphere is just the Doctor laughing at him and like being ridiculed and not taken seriously by him. That is brilliant stuff. And this is probably my favorite portrayal of the Master by Delgado.
Oh, okay.
I think there's it's got a lot of layers to it in this story. Okay, another brilliant shot when the master's been worn out by the Keller machine, and so he's lying there on the chair, and then you fade to the third Doctor, also taken out by the Keller machine, lying in bed. It's brilliantly done. I think the direction this one really helps a brilliant script to stand out even more.
So where are we going to put it on the tier list?
I want to go 10.
You want to go to? I was thinking a 9.5, but I'll give you a 10 because you let me have Spearhead.
Thank you. I will say the ending is a bit messy, but
oh, now you say that, now it's in 10.
Yeah, now it's 10. It's 10.
Claws of Axos. For me, this is a special one. I've always had a soft spot for it. I think Axons are such an interesting monster. You see, when I was discovering classic Doctor Who, the monsters were a big part of it, and this is why I have such a soft spot for it, because Pertwee era is very much of a monster era. It's got
it's brilliant,
wonderfully iconic monsters, very original monsters. What stand out, the Daemons, the Axons, the Autons, Silurians, Sea Devils. There's just so many good original creations within this era.
There's that brilliantness of the two-faced side of the Axons as well, isn't there? Where you have this almost meant to be beautiful gold figure, but then under the surface is the more monstrous tentacle form.
It's sort of like an old fable, isn't it? But beauty and all that sort of stuff. There's a hidden, darkness or monster within beauty. I don't know. There's something within that.
Yeah, I know what you're going for. There's definitely something in there.
Yeah, but this is pure 70s Who, isn't it? It's psychedelic, with the Axon ship. Though it looks very questionable in design when they're going inside the Axon ship, but it is just wonderful, absolutely wonderful sort of stuff. And Axonite, great concept that it can end world famine, and you've got Chin, a wonderful supporting character. All British, we're going to be the pioneers for
English
this.
for the English. Good heavens, man!
And I just love that because you get that great sort of locking horns between the Doctor and the establishment, and I love that. That it's just a real great story. The Pigbin Josh, great little supporting character, very iconic. Yeah. Surprised Big Finish haven't given him a box set yet. Please do. It's just the weather, just the location work as well, with that sort of freak weather's been written into the story as well. It works so well.
Yeah, there's a lot of caretaker with that, isn't there, to make sure everything works out. And yeah, I think as well, location work, some great action sequences in part 4 with Benton and Yates on the truck that they get to blow up even.
Yeah.
And then also love getting the Master teaming up with Unit for a little bit. You almost wish it could have happened more. And I think there is a novel of that, isn't there? Set at the same time as Peloton Curse.
I think is it Face of My Enemy, or I think it's Face of My Enemy.
Yeah, and you get that wonderful little glimpse of that as the Master gets to work with Unit for a little bit.
I love as well that you've got the Doctor going with the Master and sort of pretending to betray Unit, isn't it?
Yeah,
but
you sort of get that more slightly untrustworthy side of the third Doctor,
which
the Doctor in his era, don't you? Like Spearhead from space, he tries to run off early,
which I think works so well for the third Doctor's character because he's not settled into Earth life yet. He's still wanting to be out there in the stars, because the whole third Doctor character arc is his quest for knowledge, that he wants to go off in the stars, but he's bound to stay on Earth. He's on exile. So when he goes to Metebelis 3 and his quest for knowledge to go to Metebelis 3 and gets a crystal, that becomes his downfall. So that's his character arc for his quest to go out there and get knowledge. So it's great to see sort of that untrustworthiness within the third Doctor, within Claws of Axos, but you can't quite
really
pin him down yet.
Surface. Yeah. And you really do wonder, is he actually going to go off with the Master?
Yeah. But obviously it's a cunning plan to put Axos in a time loop.
Yeah, but he still tries to escape anyway.
But hey, it all works.
Yeah. Ooh, so where are you leaning towards putting this then?
I'm
I feel like
thinking.
you're going higher than me.
I feel like a 9 or 9.5. Gosh, Vazar be scared of a doctor that much. I mean, guess Web Planet has that effect on anyone. It scares them half to death. go 9. Colony in space. Where are we going to put this?
Ooh.
What do you
This
think?
one's probably one of the most hated Pertwees, isn't it?
Yeah, for many people, this is the first dud of the Pertwee era.
Yeah. Also, first time in space as well. Got to mention that. Or, well, first time traveling in space in the TARDIS and time. You sort of get a bit of space travel with ambassadors. But I love what this story's going for. Like that Western approach to it. This frontier world, crops aren't growing. I think it just has an awkward balance with the Master's plot, I'd say.
Because the Master's very late on within the story because you think, oh, the Master's not in this. This is a nice little change of pace. But you have that lovely moment of the Master arriving on the planet and he sees the Doctor like, oh shit, the Doctor's here.
And yet, you've got that scene at the very first scene with the Time Lords discussing the Master nicking their stuff, so you know he's going to turn up eventually.
Oh, but yeah. It's such a... I love the location work. I think that's great. I like the colony stuff, with sort of Gale Platt within there, and they're trying to become sustainable and all that. And you've got IMC, which I guess become quite a big thing for the Pertwee of having this sort of evil corporation within it. So I think that stuff's all pretty interesting then.
Again, it's going up against the authorities, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very much pinned for the underdogs. And I think the way IMC are trying to get rid of the colonists, sort of the machines, and they see like a terrifying lizard, what's just like an iguana, isn't it? Stock footage from like a BBC documentary, probably.
Yeah, and you have those wonderful little detective moments from the Third Doctor as he's saying, how did a creature that tall fit through that little door?
And then you get a great bit where the machine just comes trundling in.
Yeah, I think some great characters throughout, like Barnaby Kay's character, I can't remember his name, but he is a wonderful addition to this story. Having someone working for IMC who does have a bit more of a conscience, and so there's some conflict there. I think, what's the name of the villain, the commander?
Remember?
Nah, he's brilliant though, and I think that's he's not a better villain than the Master in that sense, but in terms of how this story works, he functions better as the main villain of it. I feel, and he's much more despicable. Same with I think it's Morgan who's his like underling, who's the worst of the worst.
Yeah,
that all works very well for me. It is just how the two sides of the story come together that I think weaken this, especially like the Master's plot for world domination. It always feels like they needed that excuse to get the Third Doctor in space. They had the Master in every story anyway. But it just feels like this story might have been better just focusing on the colony. Maybe even just being a 4-parter focusing on that. I do like the natives as well. Again, it's going back to that whole Western thing. You've got these natives. You've got these early Tusken Raiders as well, how they are raising the sticks above their heads. That is very reminiscent of that in the...
Well, maybe George Lucas was inspired by the Pertwee, because I swear you can see like Darth Vader's helmet within the title sequence of the Third Doctor.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can see like the outline of Darth Vader's helmet within the Third Doctor title sequence, can't you?
Oh, there you go. Is it behind me now?
Well, no, it's not the right bit. Not the right bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe George Lucas saw Connolly in space like, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah. I do have a soft spot for this story.
Yeah,
I really do like it. But yeah, I think it doesn't deserve the hate it gets.
No.
I'd go 8.5, maybe an 8.
I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement with that. I think that it is a solid one.
It feels weird putting it so far down, but that is a good rating.
Still a good rating,
it's an 8.5. Yeah.
So then we have, for many people, the quintessential Pertwee story, the Daemons. For many, this is an all-time classic. Is an all-time classic for us? What do you think?
I'd say so. Again, it's comfort viewing, isn't it? You can easily stick it on and just enjoy it, harkening back to Quatermass and the Pit in a lot of ways. And yeah, love sitting down and watching this story, get a cup of tea going. It's so cozy. Like that opening sequence with the storm, it just pulls you right into it. And I think it's probably one of the stories where you can just sit through and go through the whole thing in one sitting.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a 5-parter, one of quite a rarity for the Pertwee era, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, rarity for Doctor Who in general.
Yeah.
It's the only 5-parter that was a 5-parter from start to finish, because Dominators was going to be a 6-parter, then got one knocked off the end because they weren't happy with it. Mind Robber, 4-parter, but because Dominators got one lobbed off, they had to chuck one on quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the only 5-parter that was planned, beginning, middle, and end through the production process was always a 5-parter.
I think as well,
iconic imagery as well with
Yes.
Doc and yeah.
the world building, I think, is especially well done, especially when you get sort of BBC Three going around the crypt and explaining the history about like Matthew Hopkins' witch hunt within there. So
It's such a brilliant part 1.
It sets up like the occult and that sort of supernatural feel to this story, and the music really reflects that within it. And I think there is something quite unsettling about, not in terms of atmosphere, but you can see that there is this sort of presence there within the story, what's not quite of this world.
Yeah, that's true. I think one bit it's maybe let down a bit by is Azal.
Really?
And again, it's another problem with the ending where he's
here we
like
go.
confused about like he's suddenly getting all worked up about the logic of things, and like apparently he's never witnessed self-sacrifice before, despite observing humankind all this time. It just feels like very much they were on a high. They were going through this story. They were powering through it. They didn't want to use that device because that felt a bit too cheaty and easy. So they blew that up, and then they weren't quite sure how to end it. Sadly, but I wouldn't say that makes it too much worse in my eyes, because it's just fun vibes throughout.
Yeah, I think that every character has such a unique purpose in there, especially the main crew. You can tell that Delgado's relishing being the vicar and the magister.
The Brigadier gets more of like a central role, because even though he's like relegated to the subplot of the story, he gets it all to himself for the most part. Him and Sergeant Osgood, they're like trapped outside the barrier, having to work out a way in. And I think that allows some great scenes with the Brigadier.
Yeah, because you got him trying to figure out how to get in and help, and bring in the cavalry, really. And I think this is what I love about this story, and I think this is why I've got a soft spot for like Android Invasion and The Awakening. But it's just quintessential English village Doctor Who.
Yeah,
and I like that, because
especially how cut off it all is as well, with the heat barrier around it all.
Because I live in like locations like Devil's End, so I'm like, this could happen here. I could have Pertwee just driving down in Bessie and meeting Azal. Like for me, it's just like, oh, Doctor Who came to visit the Shire, really. So I have a bit of a soft spot for it, really. So I love it. So I think it's got to be 10 out of 10. Gotta be. Oh, here we go.
I want to push a 9.5 again.
You want to push a 9.5?
Yeah, because I'll say again, it's that ending. That just slightly knocks it off.
Go on then, I'll give it you.
Thank you. You're too kind.
I mean, you did make the tier list, so I'll be kind to you.
There we have it. That is mine and Luke's Season 8 tier list. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Please do like and subscribe if you've enjoyed it. And please let us know your thoughts on Season 8 of Doctor Who. It'll be very interesting to see whether you agree or disagree with our opinions. Me and Luke will see you on Friday for a Doctor Who stream. We stream every Friday, talking all things Doctor Who or Big Finish related. So stay tuned for that if you're new around here. And we'll see you next week for Season 9, where we see the Sea Devils and the Daleks in colour for the first time on our TV screens. It's all very exciting, I can assure you that, and there's a bit of tom-titting and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, we'll see you next week for Season 9, so take care, and bye for now.